Welcome to the GreenUp Academy podcast with Alex Kirby, where we focus on helping you level up your green industry business. Whether it's marketing, finance, employees, or strategy, we talk about everything on this show to help you apply it to your business and change your family and company's future for decades to come. Here's your host, Alex Kirby.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GreenUp podcast, where we talk about how green industry pros can level up. Me and Eric are talking about the growing pains of growing. And so, you know, Eric and I both, Eric's done over $2 million. I was approaching that when I sold my company. And I was telling you that, as you grow, crazy stuff happens. And that's why a lot of guys don't want to grow. They say, 80% of companies are 4 employees or less. And if you're afraid to grow and the stories are going to make you not do it, just turn this episode off. But these are going to be really good stories about what happens when you try to grow, because this is just part of it. I've got one really good, like a couple, but this is a great one. So we hired this guy. Let's call him Joe, okay? We hired Joe, and he was like a rock star install guy. So he was great on the skids, MT, you name it, right? So we're doing this job in downtown setting of our place. So it's tight quarters, all that stuff. And I knew he had a drug problem before because he told me, like, said he was a Christian, born again, and the whole thing. Yep. He had been doing really well. Well, then Logan, who's in this room right now, and him get COVID, okay? And the doctor, when he goes to, like, go get diagnosed with, like, medicine, gives him codeine syrup. Okay? You don't give a drug addict codeine syrup. Yeah. Like, what? 100% true story. So I don't hear from Joe for like several days. I'm checking on him, like, he's probably been here 2 months, doing great. Mm-hmm. No problems. Yeah. He comes back after COVID, and he's like a different person. Like, I'm like, oh no. Like, I'm thinking something's wrong. Like, he tries to say he's having health issues with like whatever. Well, then one day, Joe, one of my guys who was his technician calls me. He's like, hey, man, this is a guy I knew from high school who's like a bro. He talks like a surfer. He's like, hey, bro, like, I don't want to be this guy, but like, Joe's on drugs. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it's like it's like 5:30 actually. I'm wondering where they are. I forgot. It was like 5:30. I'm like, where the heck are these guys? They weren't answering. So then he's like, Joe's like, we stopped at a Waffle House, and Joe like met someone in the bathroom, and then we stopped at a random house on the way to the job, and there was definitely a drug deal went down there. And then we were at this, it was like an irrigation sod job. We were at the irrigation job, and he's been like messing with the head for like 2 hours, just like turning it. He's like tweaking out. And I'm like, he's like, I don't feel safe getting in the car with him, bro. I was like, first off, you're not going to call me well before this? He's like, I'm like walking down the street, bro. I don't even want to be near him. I'm like, so I leave. I'm like at home with my kids. Yeah. I drive home or drive downtown to them 30 minutes, and Joe is in the irrigation valve box, just twirling it like he is out of his mind, high on like a hardcore drug. I'm not proud of this. Yeah, but I never would have known. Yeah. So I end up letting my other employee, let's call him Bob. Bob takes my truck home, and I drive Joe. I make Joe put his bag in the back and get him in the car, and I drive Joe home to the shop. So it's like 6 o'clock and 6:30 maybe. Excuse me. And I'm like, all right, Joe, I know something's up. I saw a pill bottle, and it ends up he had gotten hardcore drugs that day. He'd been on drugs for a week. And I said, I will call the cops if you do not dump them in the trash right now, whatever it is. And I won't say what it was. And if you don't check into rehab by next week, I'm recording our conversation. I'm going to return you to the authorities. Thankfully, he did go to rehab. And he's, from what I know, I heard about 6 to 10 months ago, he was doing okay. But like, the customer ended up calling me. It's like, hey, why was it taking your guys so long to do my job? I don't understand what happened. And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? Oh, yeah.
He's on drugs.
Joe's on high as a kite. Just safe. You never think you're ever going to be in that situation. But, like, this is a guy who's making, like, $25 an hour, landscaping 10 years, And the dang doctor, I blame the doctor. Like, you can't give a guy who's struggling with addiction. You should see in his file, right?
Yeah.
So that sucked for me. That was one of the worst stories. I remember getting home like 7:30 and telling my wife, and she was like, no one knows the struggle of, like, they only see the good things, they never see that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything interesting that's happened? I mean, you're not been in business that long, but you probably got some good ones. The pains of growing.
Yeah, had nothing like crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy expensive, but it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. It seems like last week we had a guy on a pretty big landscape job. Been there a week or two. They're cleaning up, like picking up extra papers
Like
and stuff.
done almost.
Yeah, like on the second to last day. He's loading papers back and just twists the mini skid around and rips the backflow out of the ground completely.
How much does that cost?
Around $1,500.
Gosh.
Yeah. Or just dumping the dump trailer, not chaining the doors back. There's $900.
Dude, when the doors break off the
Off the hinge.
the hinge.
Yep.
Oh, it happened to me twice.
Yeah.
And guys look at you, right? And they look at you like, sorry. They don't realize how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's horrible. Anyways,
We've had
just a million things. Just a little small things.
Just today, the job we went to,
Yeah.
it was planned for 3 pallets of retaining wall block, and there's 14 pallets there, just filling up the whole street.
Hey, man, I think y'all locked to the wrong house. And then they're mad at you. What I want people to watching and listening to this episode is like, I hear this at like a landscape conference all the time. Man, I don't want to grow. I don't want to deal with all that. It's like, true. There are things you have to deal with when you decide to be.
Yeah, the problems
grow.
There's different problems as you grow.
Sure.
Like when you're a solo guy, the problem is you're the one providing your income.
You break your arm, you're out of business.
But when you have 8 employees, 6 employees, like you have to manage those employees, and people are hard to manage. It's the hardest part about business.
It is hard because people are unpredictable. Unlike machines, they're always going to be there when you show up the next day.
Yep.
Unless you get robbed.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting robbed, my other story that I have is we had a really nice facility. If anyone's ever seen my content, we had the guy was great. We had about a third of an acre, almost a half acre, like lay down area, all of our equipment, two big storage containers. Well, it was fenced in with barbed wire and cameras, right? Mm-hmm. So I told my guys, though, hey, we always need to lock it. You never know who's in this parking lot, right? Because there was other people coming and going. And I said, you're going to be responsible if it's not locked. If they break the locks, you're not responsible. Well, my guys didn't. We had just had that speech a week or two before. Next thing I know, come in Monday, $5,000 stuff stolen. Weed eaters, blowers, etc. I asked the owner of the property, I said, well, show me the footage. Oh, man, we were getting the cameras fixed just this weekend. Like, literally, it's a true story.
Wow.
I was like, why didn't you tell me they were down? I would have done, whatever. He's like, I didn't think about it. So I thought he should pay for my deductible, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Right? $1,000. Like, that's your mistake. I pay rent here. My camera should be working. Mm-hmm. He's a bozo. But then, so here's what happened. So I texted my guys. That was a Monday. Sorry, guys. We did 410s. So you're going to come in Friday, and we're going to do training, and you're going to clean all the trucks and make sure we got everything else and blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be unpaid. It's going to be a volunteer day because you guys owe me $1,000. It's going to be 4 hours. I'll even get you lunch, my 8 crew leaders. Mm-hmm. So that was Monday afternoon. I told them that. Tuesday morning, one of my crew leaders walks in. We start at 7. He walks in at 6:45. I'm like, I usually get there 15 minutes early to get the schedule, jobber, element, whatever up. And this guy comes in. He was like, he thought he was a hot shot. And he goes, hey, just so you know, we've all come together and decided that we're not coming in free on Friday. It's your fault the stuff got stolen. It's not our fault. Just because we didn't put the locks on, you didn't pick a facility that was secure enough. That's not my problem. And I was just like taken aback, right? I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And so I found out he accidentally kind of told himself. He basically had tried to start a group chat with all the crew leaders. Like, hey, we're all going to say we're going to quit. 8 of us, all of us, if he tries to make us come in. So I calmly go, okay. So you're fired. I mean, as of right now, you're fired, and so is your technician. And that's the end of the discussion. You have a nice day. I didn't say anything else. And he goes, he said some curse words at me, whatever. He leaves, and he tried to rally the troops. They're all out there in the lobby.
Yeah, like getting ready.
They're all like listening, right? No, all of the crew leaders are like, wonder what's gonna happen, like. And I said, and so he walks off. He's trying to yell at him, and I said, anybody else want to be fired today over trying to start a revolt against me? And then I called a team. I said, this isn't about money. This is about, I just told you guys last week. And in the comments, hey, if this is on YouTube, which we should be putting it on YouTube eventually, in the comments, tell me if you thought I was right or wrong. I'm down to hear it. On TikTok, whatever we put this on, I can be told you guys think I'm wrong. But I felt like the least they could do was I'm going to pay the deductible. You guys come in for 4 hours and get everything set up, see what we got stolen, make sure, check everything over, right? Because I didn't exactly knew what got stolen. I mean, we had 8 crews full of equipment.
Yeah.
Like 25 hedge trimmers, everything, right? So, so that was the last day he worked for me and the other guy. Come to find out, a week after that, I'm scaring everybody. I know I'm scaring everybody from like, I've never hired anyone again. Come to find out, a week after that, I find out that guy and his technician had been stopping at his own personal house mowing their grass with my equipment on the clock.
Really?
And no one would told me. And now, all this sounds scary.
Yeah.
And some of the things, this is why I got GPS Track It.
I do too.
I got GPS Track It almost immediately. I was like, I need to be utilizing where guys are and making sure they are where they say they are. Yeah. So that was one big thing I did. But yes, those stories are scary. Like dude, you want to talk about feeling defeated as a business owner?
I remember one.
Well, I can't wait. You say it next. You want to talk about feeling defeated as a business owner? You go home to your wife and kids that day and say, Daddy, you're home. How was your day? Pretty horrible. Yeah. I almost lost half my staff today. Yeah. I almost had technicians only. Yeah. And thankfully we had one foreman that we had just promoted who kind of rallied the troops and was like, and I can't remember what I ended up doing. I think by law I ended up having to pay them. So any of you people online who are like, law guys, I did end up paying them because they were coming in. I can't remember what ended up happening, but it is hard to grow. There's pain in growing, but it's still worth it. Like, let me tell you, it's still worth it. All right, Eric, let me hear your other story.
So, I just remembered it, but
can't wait.
Had a guy going through so the crew leader was an older guy, been in landscaping quite a while. Wasn't perfect. Didn't have the best morals. I fired him shortly after. But they were mulching at this job, and I guess this younger guy had been having a rough day, and guys asking him just, hey, can you take me here? Can you take me here? He just dropped him off at the liquor store during lunch, like on a main highway. Trucks are branded, like it's us, and just drops him off during lunch. Runs to Whataburger, comes back, picks him up, and it's just like the image that you want to portray, and it just comes back to like hiring just having your core values and hiring and firing to that.
That's good. I've got one even worse. I just remembered now that you said that. The worst story of my career. Okay, last one, and then we're going to encourage you as we wrap up this episode because this is so funny. I hired this guy. This guy applies, and I meet him and his girlfriend at a burger place, and they have a baby due within 2 weeks. Wednesday, I never forget. This was like 4 years ago. So Wednesday, and one of my guys who I had luckily mentored as a young kid, now he's working for me, right? He calls me. He's like, hey, man, I got to tell you something. I'm like, gosh. He goes, we stopped to get gas today, or stopped to get ice today, and D got a paper bag out. He brought a paper bag back from the gas station. He drank a beer at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, I didn't know how to tell you. It's 4 o'clock now. We're on the way back. Yeah. He's like, and I know I have a picture where he threw the can in our corporate $600,000 account. He threw it in their garbage dumpsters. Oh my goodness! So thankfully, no one saw. Yeah. And so he didn't get a picture. So sorry. D comes back and I confront him. Hey D, I had to make up a scenario. I couldn't tell him that his crew member told him because you don't want him to, you know, want to kill the guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, I got a call from the superintendent. He said that he saw you throw a beer can in a trash can. He goes, absolutely not. Never would I do that in my wildest dreams. I have a baby due any day. You know I wouldn't do that. It's like, D, I have a picture of it. I lied, right? I was like, D, I have a picture of it. He goes, I'm sorry. I've been stressed. I didn't mean to. I didn't know what to do. Just completely admits it. Wow. I said, D, you have a baby due like any second now.
Yeah.
And you chose a beer over a job. And basically a beer over your family. Yeah. It's like, I have to fire you immediately, right now.
Yeah.
And never heard from him again. Fired him. But dude drank a beer. Now, thankfully, he drank the beer. He was like, not driving, of course. Yeah. This is the worst story. I mean, I remember thinking back, like, what should I have done differently? I mean, there's nothing else I could have done. Yeah. Found out after they were back, basically, or on the way back. He like, I can't remember. I think he said he had to take a call outside to tell me or whatever. Anyways, horror stories. I have more. Like, I have 3 more I could tell. Yes, there are a lot of horror stories. Growing pains during growing are real. But in all of this, I want to encourage anyone listening, those moments, no matter what, I wouldn't have it any other way. This sounds crazy. Like, I learned so much about resiliency. I learned so much about team leadership. I learned so much about how to handle hard situations. The lawn and landscape, the green industry, as we like to call it, has helped me as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a man of God, in ways I never dreamed. Like, seriously, if you would have told me 7 years ago the things that I would have encountered, thankfully, baseball taught me a lot on adversity, but I just never dreamed that I would have these problems and situations. But guess what? Every time it happened, it got better and got better and got stronger and got stronger. And it gave me more belief. Yeah. You said something earlier, 1,000 no's helps you. No. What was the phrase you used?
Oh, just getting told no. Yeah. And just like going through the trials and going through this, endure the suck. And the quicker you get through that suck.
Endure the suck. I love it.
I mean, once you get through that, you get told no by 100 customers. You work 10, 100-hour weeks or whatever during the busiest time of this year. Like, it's going to set you up for success as long as you're doing the right things.
Sure.
Through business and doing business right.
Yeah, not cutting corners.
Yeah.
That's good. So anyways, be encouraged. Anyone listening, be encouraged. Eric and I, we've been through it. You've probably been through it. I want to hear your stories. If you've got some good ones, I want you to email them to alex@greenupacademy.com. I think that's my email now. I'll make sure that's right, but I think it's alex@greenupacademy.com. Make sure, or you can DM us on Instagram, whatever. But I want to hear some of the. I bet you people are like listening right now, like, oh, I've got one better than that, and
probably so,
which is terrifying. But okay, that's so good. So, anyways, thank you for listening to the GreenUp podcast, where green industry pros come to level up their businesses. Eric Hill, Fay-Ark Lawn Co.
Yep,
got it right again. We'll see you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review if you can. We'd appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.